Anna committed real white-collar felonies while posing as a socialite in an attempt to steal millions of dollars.
Hi, Anna. I just had some questions.
I have a question. What's you wearing? You look poor.
I'm already in love!
Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Brian Brushwood, and most importantly, if I'm not mistaken, that looked like a show about somebody who's a fraudulent character, a scamster, if you will.
Yeah, that is a trailer for Netflix's upcoming miniseries, Inventing Anna, about Anna Sorkin, a.k.a. Anna Delvey, a young scammer who posed as a wealthy socialite and defrauded hundreds of thousands of dollars from fraudulent checks, hotel stays, loans, stealing it from just directly from people. This is a new miniseries from Shonda Rhimes and her Shondaland thing. It's coming to Netflix February 11th. The real Anna Delvey was released from prison 1 year ago on the 11th. So that's interesting.
So the release of the release, that's cool.
Yeah, and that was Ruth from Ozark who plays Anna.
Oh, right on.
Her and Anna Klumsky. So check it out. It's coming February 11th.
Tom, I feel like the only way today could get any better is if we had Lamar Wilson with us.
Oh my gosh. You know who always looks rich no matter how he dresses? Lamar Wilson, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Huzzah!
and how dare you have me work on MLK Day? How dare you?
I'm not going to lie, Lamar. We had this crisis where Tom had made the doc, but it wasn't labeled for today, and I didn't know if we were taking today off. And then I had that weird thought of like, oh, is it going to be a thing that Lamar Wilson that we're working on MLK Day?
No. I had to make the joke because it was just somebody was thinking it, and I'm glad you were thinking it.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to get it out there. So I don't know. Shall we get to our primary target?
Indeed.
CNET's Amanda Kuzer wrote an article called I Quit Watching Movies and TV Shows I Don't Like. Why you should too. She got inspired by a Reddit thread on the Life Pro Tips subreddit that started, stop watching movies and series you don't like. Don't feel obligated to watch them all to the end. There are too many bad movies and series out there. Just start a new one or do something else. And it hit a chord, got 42,000 upvotes and more than 3,600 comments. And I think everybody has different limits on this. Maybe you're somebody who's like, oh yeah, I abandon stuff all the time. But even if you regularly stop watching things, sometimes there's pressure against that behavior. Brian, you strike me as somebody who does not suffer bad television gladly.
I used to. It has been I am 10 years into recovery on this issue. I have learned that the only thing that strikes me as curious about this phrasing is that there's too much bad stuff out there. Like, no, everything's good to some degree. It's just that there's too much good stuff. And the question, the decision you have to make in your heart is that you are okay with it is not your job to watch everything good in the universe. And if something more good is outshining the current shiny thing that you're looking at, that's fine. That's okay. I give me permission to do that, and I give you permission to do that as well. Because I think I've made various iterations on a similar claim for a while, Tom, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's something that I think you've helped me, become more comfortable as a completionist myself to be like, you know what? I may not consciously stop watching a thing. I may have to lie to myself a little still and say like, well, you can always go back to it. But I definitely will choose to watch the thing I want to watch first, if there's, a limited amount of time in the day. Lamar, what about you? Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I have friends who get really irritated at me when they recommend a show and I give them the I'm full. And just like I've reached my limit. But it's a great show. And I'm like, I hear you. I believe you. I'm full. I can only watch so much TV during the day and all that. So, on that side, I stand there. However, I did write down a few shows that I should have given up on. But I waited too long. I eventually gave up on them. But
You should have given up sooner, maybe.
yeah. Let's see if you see a theme here.
Okay.
Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Stargirl. I don't know if you see a theme with 2 letters starting with C and W.
A call from Greg Berlanti.
Like I want them to be great, but they turn into soap operas, and I am not a soap opera person. So, but I was so deep in, I was like, "Wow, oh my God, I got to finish them." And someone told me, "No, you don't." And that's simple. Just stop watching.
Well, and
it's okay.
I tend to just kind of forget to go back, especially in between seasons on shows, more than I consciously like say, that's it, I'm not watching the next one. It's more like it just bumps down the priority list to the point where I don't go back to it. Although I have ended up going back to some of them. I end up circling back around and saying, oh, you know what? I do have time for that now. And like Death in Paradise is one when we did the Killy Awards in December, which I mentioned like, hey, I'm back on board. It used to be my abandoning award. So even if you stop watching, if it comforts you at all, it doesn't mean you'll never can go back. You can always pick up and start watching it again later, even with a movie.
You know what I did that with? It's a good point you made. I did it with Smallville. I stopped around season 8 back in the day. And then, got the DVDs from Netflix a few years later. It's like, okay, I'll binge the, last 3. And what was the other one? Lost was one. I was
wow. Yeah.
I had to take a break, and then I came back and I enjoyed it. So, that binge method of at least
you had to get back to the island.
Well, and that's one of the things is it is now gospel on Cordkillers that there is an upgrade that everything gets when you binge it. And boy, I can't think of a better example than Lost, because when I was at first I binged it, loved it, started watching it week after week. About midway through season 2 during the writer's strike, gave up on it, forgot about it for years. Then I binged it and I was like, this is incredible. How did I ever leave? And then it went back to week over week and I was like, I'll get whatever. And then I forgot about it. And then I binged right up to the very end. And it's like, that's fine. So you're never deciding to give up on a thing. You're just taking a break from it. And it's the other example that it makes me think of is I think about when a movie gets silly with its sci-fi logic or annoying, or I get distracted, like how that doesn't work. And I always think of Men in Black. Men in Black is nonsensical, silly. It's bananas and bonkers, and I never think about any of the logical inconsistencies the whole time. So if I ever catch myself getting annoyed with the logic of a universe, I blame the product, not me. It's not my job to if that means the director did it in such a way that I'm not having enough fun to not think about any of this.
Yeah, and I think that's fair to with the caveat of like, that doesn't mean somebody else won't like it. Maybe it's for them, but you shouldn't have to put up with something you're not enjoying. I think that makes perfect sense. I do find it harder with movies to abandon midway. But I pull the same stunt of, especially now when you go watch a movie at home, I will pause the movie and say, well, I'll come back to it later. And I've even done that where I've watched movies, in installments, basically turned them into television shows and watched them over, maybe a couple of weeks, even just to make it all the way through. But more often than not, I will just finish a movie because it's less time. And I never walk out of a theater. I've only ever walked out of a theater once.
That's the big question. I've also never walked out of a theater. I almost did during Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I'm really glad I didn't. Like that commitment device that forced me to stay there was worth it. What about you, Bryce?
I don't think about it. If I'm not watching it, I don't watch it. Like if I don't like it, I don't like shows hanging over my head. So like the framework of, well, just call it a pause and I'll get like, no, dog. Like if you wanted to have an IOU, you would be a better show.
That and that's fine. Again, I'm not saying everybody has to be like me. It's just there's a part of me that feels like like, okay, but you need to see it through. Maybe there's going to be a great turnaround that you're not getting, and rationalizing it makes it easier for me to just set it aside and see if I'm still thinking about it. See if I'm like, oh no, I do want to go back. But yeah, Bryce, it sounds like you don't need to do that. You're just like, no, if I don't like it, I know I don't like it, and that's it.
Because I mean, I don't know. I don't like wasting my time. There are so many, whether or not they're good or bad. There's so many. It's not worth my time to deal with something like that. Right? Yeah.
There's one movie, Tom, and that because you're talking about you haven't walked out of a movie. There's one movie that I, after 30 minutes, put back in the Netflix sleeve and mailed back immediately, and I have never watched it since. And that's Napoleon Dynamite. It was god awful.
Wow, really?
Really?
Yeah, could not watch it. I've never done that for any other movie in my life. It was unwatchable.
Wow.
Yeah. Every time I tell somebody that, they give me that same look. Like,
Yeah.
like, what?
I love that though, because I think there's an infinite diversity of bad reactions out there, and beloved franchises. For some people, they're just like, I don't get it. One of my best friends, we've been best friends since the 90s when we met, early 90s in Austin. Doesn't like Star Wars. And I still can't fathom it. I still, like, how do we get along so well? And you don't like Star Wars at all, like the original Star Wars.
Like, are they indifferent to them or just do not like them?
Oh, no, she just doesn't like it. She's just like, yeah, I just don't get it. She doesn't hate it, but it's more like I wouldn't want to finish watching it. Like, it's just not worth it.
Wow. Can I beg for stories? Because it's always surprising when I find out, like, everybody has this one movie that they actually walked out of. And like this one, it always surprises me. Somebody else hated Beetlejuice so much that they left the theater. For me, it was Armageddon. I rented Armageddon, got halfway through it, and I'm like, this is dumb as hell. Returned it to the Blockbuster. Cordkillers@gmail.com. Tom, have you ever totally walked out?
I've only ever walked out of a theater one time, and I kind of did it to myself, where I was a very cynical mid or early 20s, with my college girlfriend at the theater, too cool for school. And I said to my girlfriend, we were looking at each other, rolling our eyes, going, oh, this is so obvious and dumb. If the Pope gets up and dances, I'm out of here. And we walked out of Sister Act as soon as the Pope danced.
You walked out of Sister Act? How are we friends?
I don't know. See, right? It's exactly the thing. And the thing is, I love everyone in the movie. There's no reason. I was just like a cynical, like, oh, I'm too smart for this comedy. I can watch it now and be totally fine and be like, man, what a pretentious jerk you were for walking out of this movie. But
like, I'm sorry. You're the one who bought a ticket to Sister Act, and then you were shocked to see Sister Act.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and we, again, that's why I think, like, you know what? We all have different reactions and different reactions at different times in our lives, different experiences. There's no shame in quitting on something. There's no shame in going back and liking it later either.
Yeah. So someone in the chat mentioned Batman and Robin. It made me think. I didn't walk out. I was with my mom and my stepfather. We're watching it. I won't say the line, but there's that's the one with Catwoman and the Penguin, right? The Batman and Robin. Back in the day.
Not the Penguin. That's Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. Okay, that's the one. Yep. Batman Returns. So Penguin says something when Catwoman comes in. I'll change the word. Oh, that's the cat I'm looking for.
Right.
And my mom got pissed and walked out, and then we didn't leave because I'm like, we paid. I'm not going anywhere. So I'm a teenager with my stepfather. So, but we paid for it later because she was like, "Oh, you gonna make me wait in the car for you?"
And you're like, "But Mom, there were penguins with rockets strapped to their back at the end."
That's a legitimate name for a cat.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? I don't understand this. Yeah. So I almost had to go out, but I didn't. I'm glad. I like the movie.
Well, folks, listen, we hope you don't walk out on us. In fact, we want you to walk in with cash in hand to our Patreon, patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Yeah, look, we have a tendency to be a little thing I like to call hypocrites here. We said the words, don't feel obligated to keep watching something just because you started it. But the fact is, you entered a contract the moment you started watching our show. That means you have to double down and watch every single episode of Cordkillers forever. Forever and ever and ever, and we'd prefer that you paid for them because otherwise you're kind of a mooch. So head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers. You get access to special bonus content and everything all in one special RSS feed just for you.
Yeah. Frankly, folks, if you're listening to this show and you're like, well, I used to be a Patreon, but I followed your advice and I stopped. Remember that part of the conversation where I said, and there's no shame in coming back to something later. Patreon.com/cordkillers. Come back right now. Right
or we'll
now.
Shame you.
Or else.
Let's talk about how to watch. Netflix announced it's raising its prices on the Canadian and U.S. plans. Netflix's standard plan with 2 streams goes up $1.50 to $15.49. 4K plan goes up $2 a month to $20 a month. And the basic plan, that's the one without HD, goes up $1 to $10 a month. New prices are in effect now for new subscribers. So if you sign up, you're going to get these new higher prices. And existing subscribers will kind of be rolled into it slowly. You'll get an email 30 days before your price goes up. The last domestic price increase for Netflix was October 2020. So it's been less than 2 years, a little more than a year and a few months. Every time there's a price increase on any of these services, especially one as popular as Netflix, the common response is to complain that streaming was supposed to be cheaper and it's now more expensive. I've argued on this show constantly that control is always a bigger benefit for cord cutters than cost, because you can control which channels you get and therefore reduce your cost, even if you're not getting the same amount. You can have control, whereas cable's kind of all or nothing. And also, you don't need to have every service. So those comparisons are like, if you signed up for every streaming service, it'd be way more expensive than cable. Well, you don't need to do that. Cable is also way more expensive than people realize, because everybody sees the ads that say $20 a month for a limited time, 3 days, et cetera, et cetera. And in actuality, people pay on average more than $100 a month for their cable. But these prices, Brian, keep going up.
All right. I have
$20 a month. Starting to feel like maybe my logic might be faltering. I don't know.
I have a tactic and a question that scares me, but first I want to get initial impressions from Lamar. Does this faze you at all?
I'm one of those people that find comfort in having every streaming service, and so I'm not the one that will. I've had Netflix literally since the disc. Like I've just never. It's a water bill now. It's the light bill. It's just something that gets paid. So I saw it, I squirmed, but at the end of the day, I'll pay it because it's just nice to have on. I just like to know when it's there. And to me,
you'll walk out on Napoleon Dynamite, but not on a streaming service.
No, I won't. It's just comforting to know that it's available, and having to cancel it or pause it and all that. I don't know. I guess it's just not my speed.
Well, that's the practical tactic. And my advice to everybody is everybody once a quarter should cancel everything. And then just wait until you want something, like
That's
a
reasonable.
specific thing. Then immediately sign up for it. They make it very easy to come back. If you do that, it's impossible for much of this to affect you. But I, too, derive comfort from just always having this stuff available. And part of me just kind of rolls my eyes like, what am I going to not have Netflix? I got 3 kids and the missus and the me and all that stuff. And then a dark voice whispered in my mind today saying, how far, Brian? How far before you flinch? And I was like, what, 20? 20? Yeah, 20, of course. It's like, 30? Sure. 40? 50, and then all of a sudden it got real hard, and I didn't like the game, and I stopped playing it. What is your secret whisper number
For Netflix specifically, when it gets into, I'm tolerating this 20, but if it gets to 25, I find way more value, and maybe I'm biased, but I find way more value like HBO Max. That's my favorite streamer. It literally has everything I want from from everything. $16.
Well,
So
and that's
Netflix starts to get $10 more than that. They better become with some bangers.
That's the beauty of making a habit of dropping every quarter. Like you could say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm going to be an HBO guy. And for the next 3 months, I'm going to be a Hulu guy.
And that's where the control can play in, is you would have that option, which you don't have with cable.
I do the annual plans, though, on a lot of the things. Yeah. Because it's easier to give you a free month.
Yeah.
It's hard to, it's tough.
And it locks in your price. You're not going to get a price increase for that year, at least.
Yeah, Netflix doesn't have annual.
Yeah,
prices,
right.
But,
but at least for the ones that you can do it with.
For the ones I have, yeah.
I look at this, and Brian, my whisper price is tainted because we do Cordkillers, and so it's a business expense. So I am definitely willing to tolerate a higher price than I would as if this was not something I did as a job in any way. There's still a price. It's still, when you started talking about $50, I was like, oh man, is that worth the coverage? Do we need a new Patreon level if we're talking about that? But I think there's probably just a natural break for most of us before those prices will get there, because Netflix isn't going to raise the price beyond what the majority of its audience will pay. So as soon as it sees the crumbling, right? Like, this was the price that really caused people to fall away, it's going to stop. It's going to keep raising the prices while people are still willing to pay them because they feel like they have enough good content out of it. And I know it's still too early. Netflix may have pushed it past the point. They might have to cut prices at some point, but we're still in we don't know how much this is worth because we really don't know how this market works. There's still cable out there. There's still lots of options. There's still lots of people who don't understand what they need and how to manage a news service when they're used to just only having one option. There was a certain freedom in not having choice, right? So having to learn how to deal with a world in which you do have control means we kind of don't know what our limits are yet.
I'll tell you this much. At the very least, you are giving them valuable data when you show price sensitivity at certain levels. Like, let's say, for example, you got caught up in the Squid Game fervor, and now you're over it. There's nothing really grabbing your attention on Netflix at the minute. If you spin through everything, you're like, I'm just not seeing anything I want to watch today. Then hit that cancel button, because that is a data point that says you are not immortal, and that bring us the next Squid Game, and then you'll get me back. But for now, we're going to take a break. We're going to pause.
Yeah. Let us know your price, folks. I mean, not the price.
No, tell us. Cordkillers@gmail.com. What's that dark secret price?
All right, let's get to what to watch and Under Surveillance.
It's all about location.
Under Surveillance.
Raised by Wolves is coming back. The series on HBO Max released a full trailer, and season 2 returns to HBO Max February 3rd.
Lamar, did you watch the first season of Raised by Wolves?
I did. That was like right when the pandemic started. I had nothing to watch. HBO Max just came out. I was like, I like this.
Yeah,
I know I would like it though.
Well, we liked it as well, especially for just how super dense. I mean, that first episode, what a pilot episode! It's incredible. I had this fun moment watching the trailer of like, I don't remember any of this. I don't know who anything is, and about like a minute in, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That is how that went. And then
the preacher guy. Oh yeah, he's still there. Okay, yeah.
Right. And then she went into the thing, and then the stuff happened. And
she screams and does the thing, and the kids and to be honest, what I'm really excited about are the recaps that are going to come out shortly beforehand, because there's no way I'm going to go back and watch all of season 1 again. But I would love to be reminded to walk through, spend about an hour walking through like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome, and this and that.
Where did we leave off again? Okay, yeah.
Do they
Give
tend
me-
to do one on HBO Max? I'm trying to remember. Like, do they do previously on?
Well,
They'll do a
Yes, they
longer
do.
previously on for season 2s I've seen. So I would expect that, but I don't know that they do. Sometimes I've seen Netflix or maybe it was HBO with Game of Thrones do like half-hour like recaps of the
Yes,
entire series
I
so
love
far.
those.
I don't know if I've seen them do that yet.
And there really is an important art to that. Even if you don't say the words previously on, that lead up content that sort of nudges you like, oh, that might be important this episode. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I use that sometimes to help me figure out what to focus on. Like, okay, look for that. That's coming. Very interesting. First look trailer is out for the Bob's Burgers movie, coming to theaters May 27th. Bob's Burgers, of course, the long-running cartoon about Bob's Burgers shop and the family that Bob is the father of. I love Bob's Burgers. I don't know if I'm going to go to a theater to see this, honestly, but
Yes.
I will definitely watch it, whether it's in a theater or when it comes out to home movies.
Yeah, I felt the same way. The trailer is amazing, especially in the beginning. I'm like, it's a commercial for a delicious
Burger.
Why is this commercial unskippable?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh yeah, duh, Bob's Burgers. No, it's great. I'm with Tom. It's one of those I'll see on streaming. I don't need to I don't have kids. Kids shouldn't be watching Bob's Burgers. I don't think. But like, it's not something I would go.
Yeah,
to
my
Older
kids
kid
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely watch it.
Okay.
I'll be curious. Just as a prediction, I don't know. Jay Johnston was fired off the show, the voice of Jimmy Pesto, because he was at the Capitol riots 1 year ago on the 6th of January, and I'll be curious if they revoice his parts to take him out, or maybe the character is not in there enough that they remove him, or what.
So far, he's just not been in. He wasn't in every episode anyway. Maybe 1 out of every 4. So far, they've just ignored Jimmy Pesto. But I am curious if we find out that Jimmy Pesto got arrested.
Or
life
maybe there's
imitates
something
art.
in the background of him just being marched off in handcuffs.
Yeah. Peacock's putting together a Quantum Leap sequel series. So not a reboot in this case. They say they're gonna do a sequel. The show will reportedly follow a team searching for Dr. Sam Beckett. Find out what happened.
I love this show back in the day, and I'm.
Go ahead, say it.
We have those special shows that you just watch every week, and it's like, it's not rebooting it. I get it, but leave it alone. This is one of those. I never say this about shows. This is one of those. I'm like, I like it where it was. I normally don't do that either.
Let me offer a counterpoint.
Okay.
I too like it exactly where it was, but that is one of the most legendarily awful endings in the history of television. I
actually don't remember the ending.
So the ending was, and somebody can write in with details, cordkillers@gmail.com, but if I remember correctly, there was a dispute with the writing staff or whatever, and it was not clear whether or not they were promised an opportunity to tie things up or whatever. Then they were denied it, so they just wrote this bizarre fever dream, and then this series ends with just text on a black background that says, anyway, Sam Beckett never made it home. And it's like, what was that? And that was the end of the series. And so if you're telling me that we're not rebooting, but we're actually doing a sequel, and the sequel is about, no, that title card, what was that? Then I am all in.
That changes my perspective now. I did not remember the ending. Okay.
Because Saturday Night Live did a spoof on the Bel Air reboot.
I love that, dude. It was amazing.
They did Family Matters with like a dark Urkel growing up on the mean streets of Chicago.
I loved it.
And so I kind of felt like that when I saw the headline of this, but I'm the more I read into it, the more I thought about it, Brian, the more I'm like, oh no, sequel is very important here.
Right.
The fact that they're like, no, we're going to pick up the story the exact number of years it's been since Quantum Leap ended. And I could see it work.
How about
this? I could see it not work too. Don't get me wrong, but I could see this have a chance.
He's still alive, right?
Modern day.
The actor?
Yep.
Like
Bakula's still around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pick it up today because we now live in the future of of Quantum Leap, and
right.
That'd be a blast.
Yeah. HBO Max, on the other side of the coin, is bringing back Degrassi, Birthplace of Drake. Degrassi: The Next Generation will premiere in 2023 with more than 10 episodes. They haven't said exactly how many. HBO Max also got the rights to the original Degrassi 14 seasons. That will come later this year. You'll be able to watch the old ones and see a young Drake. And then 2023, I guess it's not a reboot either. It's a sequel because it's the next generation. I don't know if they'll do a Saved by the Bell and bring back original characters as teachers, which is what they did there. But yeah, we're getting more Degrassi.
I totally missed the Degrassi train as a kid. I was just outside of that bubble. I understand it's well beloved by a lot of people. Tom, Lamar, did you guys ever even see it when it was on?
I've seen 1 or 2 episodes as a teenager, and it didn't do anything for me. So I've never heard of it after that.
The Generation X panel has no familiarity with Degrassi. Millennial viewers, please write in, cordkillers@gmail.com. Finally, everybody says they hated Red Notice. A very large number of people watched it. It's apparently Netflix's most watched movie yet. So Netflix has got to make 2 more. Production begins 2023.
I haven't seen it yet. Is it really bad?
I liked it. I am one of the few people willing to ruin their reputation by saying they liked Red Notice, but I
want to watch it now.
It's a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. It's full of plot holes. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It's just gonna move real fast and have lots of explosions and witty lines. That's what I wanted. That's what I got. I was perfectly happy with it.
It's gonna have mega star power. It's gonna have all the ingredients that the robot director has determined make for viewing habits.
Take Gal Gadot plus Dwayne Johnson plus Ryan Reynolds equals most watched Netflix movie ever.
Question, robot director, what do we do next? Same thing that worked last time.
Different titles, 2 more.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about what we've had our eyes on. What have we actually spent our hard-fought time off watching? Lamar, starting with you, what you been watching these days?
I freaking loved Peacemaker. Peacemaker on HBO Max. I'm one of those who really enjoyed the Suicide Squad 2021. Mm-hmm. I watched it at home, which I was thankful to do. And Peacemaker was a John Cena crazy character, wild character. So they've done the Disney thing. They've taken the elements of the movie and the same actors and everything and brought them to a series. And they dropped 3 episodes and it's gaudy, it's offensive, it's everything you could think of that's like I won't say naughty, but just it's kids should never watch this, but it's amazing. If you're an adult and you just like you like the Suicide Squad. Raunchy is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, oh definitely that. But I loved it. I binged all 3 and I was like I'm ready for this. So kudos to HBO Max for doing that. I'm not saying Disney invented it, but Disney was the first to have the model of, hey, let's do the movie quality down to a TV series. And I hope more series do this. It's a great series, continuation from the movie.
I just had a wonderfully confusing moment because you were describing, you said 2021, and I was like, it couldn't have been then because I saw it in the movie theater. And that was during the pandemic. And then I remembered, oh, that's right. That's when I had COVID and I had that immunity for 6 weeks and I was able to just go to movies and stuff. It was great.
Yep. And our last thing, best opening sequence ever. Find it on YouTube if you don't want to watch
Everybody
the show.
loves the opening sequence. Yeah, indeed,
definitely.
indeed.
Hey, Tom, I got in a very, very fast plane and just real quick, hypersonically jumped over to England for just a little bit, long enough for me to flip on the old telly, as we call it over there, and catch a couple of episodes of a show called Toast of Tinseltown. Have you heard of it?
Is this the follow-up series to Toast of London?
Yeah, it's one where Matt Berry plays Stephen Toast, only he's in Hollywood, which, wow, how convenient, because the actual actor is spending a lot more time in Hollywood.
And yet you had to go all the way to England to watch it.
Well, because it's not legally available anywhere here in the United States, as far as I know.
Is it on Netflix in England, or just when it comes here?
Well, because I was physically in England, I didn't have to worry about paying my licensing fees, and I was able to use BBC's iPlayer and watch it there.
Beeb,
yeah.
Okay.
And but all 6 episodes were there, so I only watched the first 2 of them. And there was this weird moment. It is very funny and good, but I had this weird. I was like, what is weird about this? And all of a sudden, I realized that it has COVID written all over it. Every major character, every appearance, it's everybody talking into phones. It's everybody talking over Zooms. It's all and it was good, but once I flew back from England, I decided I think I'm gonna just wait until it comes to America in some legal form to binge
because it's so hard to keep flying back and forth.
Well, but also it's like I think it might be a testament to what I mean, when it was funny, and the cameos were cameo-ish, but yeah, I don't know. Even the effort of flying instantly to England didn't feel worth it.
Well, I'm going to lend my voice to the hipster movement on the internet that is praising Yellowjackets because it's really good. And frankly, for me, horrible name, because I hate Yellowjackets. I hate wasps. There's nothing about the name Yellowjacket that is appealing at all. So forget that. It doesn't have anything to do with wasps. This is a movie about a women's soccer team that crashes in the mountains on their way to the national finals and has to fend for themselves. And it's told in a very flashback, flash forward manner with one of those great script writing / directorial / editing magic tricks where you kind of should know everything, but you're still dying to find out for sure and get what you might even consider obvious answers. The answers aren't necessarily crazy, but it's really satisfying when you get them. Also, some really crazy stuff. There's a combination of murder mystery, supernatural, and things that may appear to supernatural that aren't supernatural, but which ones are supernatural. Anyway, it just finished up. It's on Showtime, available on streaming. You could now binge the whole season, which is exactly what I'm doing. Go check it out. Yellowjackets, not, I must hurry to remind you, about wasps. Seriously, I didn't want to watch it because it was called Yellowjackets at first, and they have a wasp in the logo. Yeah, and it's not about that at all. Bryce, what should we be on the lookout for?
Hey, this past weekend, they just wrapped up the 2022 Awesome Games Done Quick. If you don't know, or if it's your first time hearing about it, that is a 7-day marathon live stream where they have tons of like very high skilled video game players playing games very, very fast, nonstop. And it's a lot of fun. They do it a couple of times a year. And what's convenient is they post them all on YouTube, usually the next day. So there's a bunch already from this past week that they have just finished. Some of the highlights for me so far have been Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. That's a very hard action game that they played completely blindfolded for over 2 hours.
Holy cow.
Very cool.
What?
High Speed Tetris the Grandmaster, one of like the most difficult Tetrises, but started on the highest speed as well. That's a 4-player race, and not everybody finishes that race. As well as Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, the asymmetrical party game. A speed run of a bomb in that game with 100 modules.
Holy cow.
That's right. And one person does it. He does it by himself. Wow. By the way, you are allowed to do it by yourself for speed runs, and there are 100 different modules, so it's not like, so that's very cool. They raised like $3.5 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. All of them are on YouTube right now, on their Games Done Quick channel. Just search on YouTube, Games Done Quick. There's a bunch of stuff on there. And they do it a couple times a year. If you've got something we should be on the lookout for, email us, please, cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you.
Are there wasps?
I haven't seen any, but there could be in Sonic. Sonic, there's always got animals.
I'll tell you what, that whole speedrun community, I ended up falling into a rabbit hole. I watched a 45-minute breakdown of why this one particular speedrun of Super Mario will never be beat. And like number by number, pixel by pixel, he explains all of the exploits that are done and about the margin of error. And it was bonkers.
And they do a good job with these GDQ runs of having commentators on to explain, like, okay, well, so he's doing this, they're looking for this, they've got this, and they're doing this, and what you just saw here was this and this, and they explain a lot of the exploits. So you do learn a little bit, and a lot of the runners go on there and let you know that, every one of these games has their own community of people who do this, and they give you resources to join those communities, because it's also doesn't seem that difficult if you've got the time to put the practice in. So check it out. Games Done Quick.
What about dogs?
I believe they should stay in houses. But more importantly, I believe you should have a computer in that house. And your computer, when you need to replace it, should be replaced with the Doghouse Systems computer, because they power everything here at HQ. Head on over to doghousesystems.com/rogue. That's ROGUE. Use promo code ROGUE at checkout, and you'll get a bonus SSD. And if you feel like supporting us, kicking us some cash, we have a new thingy at Scam Stuff. Bryce put together, I told Bryce, I was like, hey, I put noisemakers around the studio, and just, be cool. So Bryce and I were the only ones who didn't know, and we watched everybody else get super agonized as they kept
during
hearing.
our shoot. We were filming other videos.
That's right. I maybe ruined an episode because people are going nuts being gaslit trying to find a cat in the vent or where this cricket is. And then the best part is when you finally find the thing and tear it open, it's filled with glitter.
Oh, wow.
So that's at scamstuff.com. You just have it in your back pocket. You don't know when you're going to need it, but at some point you're going to need it.
The infinite hidden noise prank cards. Check it out.
Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
We are still at peak TV, folks. Thank goodness. 2020 had seen a dip in the number of adult scripted original series, but 2021 has bounced back. FX Content Research counts 559 original scripted series in 2021. That's up 13% on 2020. Also up 5% on 2019, which did not have a dip. And so 559 original scripted series is a new all-time high. Now, keep in mind, that does benefit from some shows that were supposed to come out in 2020 being shifted to 2021. So it inflated the results a little bit, but we are still at peak TV. You'll not be lacking choices for shows anytime soon.
God, I don't think we're anywhere near peak TV. Yeah. I say go
Lamar,
even higher. Diamond Hands to the moon with
that's true. That's true.
Originals.
When I say we're at peak TV, that doesn't mean we're coming down. It means we're at least still going up. Do you feel better now, Lamar?
I do. Sigh of relief. We have things to watch.
You're worried about having enough to watch. Roku added a live TV zone section that pulls in the live TV programming from its channel guide and third-party platforms, including YouTube TV, Hulu and Live TV, Fubo TV, Philo, and Sling. The live TV zone is available in the main navigation menu and will appear in search.
They get sued for this?
No, they're doing partnerships. That's why it doesn't have everybody. And that's what makes it so awkward, because you're like, great, I want to use it with, the thing that's not available in this version, right? It works great if it works with the services you already use.
Well, and you hate it up until there's some show that you want to watch on that one thing, and all of a sudden you're real glad it's there.
Viacom, CBS, and Comcast have renewed their carriage deal. There's a continuing trend worth following of cable companies offering third-party streaming services. It's possible that in the future, cable TV companies becoming platforms for keeping track of your streaming subscriptions. In Spain, Telefónica's Movie Star service is now offering Netflix as an option. And in the U.S., as part of an overall carriage deal with Viacom CBS, Comcast will start offering BET Plus streaming service and expand the availability of other services like Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, and more. So we are definitely seeing a rising number of, hey, we know we'll go out of business soon on our cable side, but we'd still like to take a cut of the Netflix subscription, please. Thank you.
I was literally about to say that. As long as they get a cut, do they really care? Do they really care?
Well, and it's a brilliant transition plan, right? To be like, you thought, oh, cable will go away and they'll just be internet service companies. Aha, no. And honestly, if one of them gets really good at helping you manage that bill so that you can easily pause and unpause things, I'd be all for that. Make that happen.
One of the things that we keep on hearing from everybody who writes in is how much they love their NVIDIA Shield TV, and NVIDIA is updating Shield TV to Android 11. NVIDIA Software Experience 9.0 brings the new Android version to all Shield TVs. That includes voice search by Google Assistant. Let us know if you still love it afterwards.
Yeah, I know a few people are like, some stuff changed. It's now I think Roger Chang from DTNS, he was having problems with some file transfer stuff, but that's kind of typical for big operating system updates like that. So I'm sure they'll get most of the bugs worked out. You may think that every studio that owns a streaming service will stock that service with its own stuff, right? NBC owns Peacock, so Peacock's going to be all NBC stuff. Not so. Just like studios often make shows for other companies, we're seeing them sell some of their back catalogs to competitors. Discovery has reached a deal to offer 12 NBC Universal unscripted series on Discovery Plus. That includes both versions of The Biggest Loser, the original and the reboot, and American Ninja Warrior, as well as the original run of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. You would have thought Netflix would have wanted to scoop that up because Netflix has the new versions, but it looks like that will be on Discovery Plus.
And after a few years of ratings declines, the NFL saw regular season ratings rise 10%. That gives the NFL its best numbers since 2015. Thursday Night Football, which is aired on TV and streamed on Amazon Prime Video, rose 16%.
I watched one of the games over the weekend, first on Paramount Plus and then on Amazon Prime, just because I switched platforms. But I did not go through a cable thing. I didn't have to go to England. I didn't have to do anything. I had two services I was already paying for that had a game on, and I could watch it, and it was good.
I think that we may be cresting the hill of sports on cable versus sports on streaming. I too was watching a game this weekend. I think it was a Raiders game, where I just clicked the thing on Apple TV and it took me to Peacock instead of DirecTV Stream.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, whatever. It's still a stream. Still works. We watched a little bit of Sunday Night Football yesterday, too, until my wife wouldn't stop taunting Ben Roethlisberger, and then so we turned it off. Let's get to the dispatches from the front. James C. Smith writes in and says, "You're absolutely right." We can stop right there, Brian. Right?
I love it. Great email. That's a good way to start an email.
James C. Smith says, "You're absolutely right that Brian agreeing with Tom about how much they liked a show or a movie would be very boring. I appreciate that you often play devil's advocate to show the other side. But there are also other options. You don't have to talk about liking or not liking a show. You could keep Spoilerin time interesting by theorizing about what you think will happen next, or explaining why you think a character did a thing. What was their motivation? It would be great if you spent more time explaining what just happened and why, and predict what will happen next."
I think that there's something to the idea of speculation, or especially if we do a little poking around, and it does happen organically that maybe one of us will notice a detail that, do you realize that's a reference to this thing from this other thing, and it was predicted 20 years ago or whatever, and then other time, but on the other hand, boy, it would be a bummer if we had a call and planned out our discussion about our impressions of things beforehand.
Yeah. No, I don't think James C. Smith is saying it has to be like that. I do think it's a good reminder that, like, hey, speculating on in-universe conversations just as entertaining as stepping outside and talking about how it's made. And it's a good reminder. We'll keep that in mind.
We don't often speculate much about what will happen next in the show on Spoilerin Times.
We do sometimes. I mean,
Sometimes.
A fair bit, because we talk about, like, oh, you realize this opens the door to this possibility.
True, but not in the sense of, like, this is a recap of what happened,
right?
And this is the next thing. And so sometimes less of one affects the other.
The most fun was when we were going through Squid Game. There was a lot because Tom had already seen all of it. Like Tom would just look down at the ground as we would wildly speculate about, like, now it could go this way, it could go the other way.
And then I would cover my eyes and ask a question in the toneless voice.
Exactly.
That was fun. Actually, I really enjoyed that too. Well, that brings us to the end of another Cordkillers. Too soon, as always, especially because Lamar Wilson was here. Now we have to say goodbye. Lamar, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, guys.
Where can we see more of your stuff?
Yeah, so Lamarr.tv. You can go there. I'm at Lamar Wilson everywhere, and I've been dubbed, especially on TikTok, as the CEO of unboxing. So whether it's tech, pop culture, it's a great promotion. Whether it's tech, pop culture, gaming, I unbox it, make it fun. And it's been killing. It's been killing lately. So
I just realized I need to send some products to you.
You do. Dude, I have got 100% on the short form vertical train. I am now like a year one creator. It is new, it's exciting, and I'm having a ball.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I'm going to make it
under a minute. Yeah. Please do.
Keep it coming here too, folks. Website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com, and we're live on twitch.tv/Night Attack. Also carried on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey, Tom Merritt, what's going on?
I'm just hanging out here watching this scroll go by. What are you doing?
Trying to set up a bit where we thank our beautiful, beautiful patrons, all these wonderful names.
I'm sorry, I'm too distracted looking at these beautiful, beautiful patron names going by. Look at that one. I mean, if you wanted to be one of these people, patreon.com/cordkillers would be the place to go.
I mean, they're scratching our itch, like, because we're addicted.
As long as it's consensual, like,
we're addicted to their money.
And love. Might as well face it.
Well, God damn it.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.